Hi people, it's Isla here and I have my tea, so you know what that means? It's another episode of Tea Time. This is going to be a review of Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins. I really enjoyed this book. For those of you who aren't aware, it is the third and final book in the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy. Without giving away spoilers, this book is about Isla and Josh and their relationship, which is as much as I'm gonna say. The first book in the series, I gave 5 out of 5 stars. The second book, I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and this book, I gave 5 out of 5 stars. In my last review of the series, which was for Isla and The Boy Next Door, that's the title, I mentioned how I was nervous about how this book was gonna go. I liked Lola, but I wasn't sold on it. However, I loved Isla, possibly even better than the first book, which was Anna. Isla as a character was incredible, and Josh as a character was amazing. I wasn't the biggest fan of him in the first book, but in this book, he blossomed. Josh is so passionate about everything, including Isla. And Isla knows what she wants, but she also has no idea what she wants. She's just kind of floating along. I found Isla and Josh's relationship to be the strongest. And I feel like they were in each other's lives at the perfect time, even though a lot of things happened to get in the way. I think this book was probably the best in the trilogy. Anna and the French Kiss was a great book, but it was kind of a first book looking back on it. It set up all the characters and it gave you a feel of how the rest of the series was gonna go. In Lola and the Boy Next Door, it didn't serve much of a purpose. It was more of like the filler kind of chapter or the filler book. It was setting things up for the ending. But what I didn't like about that book was that Anna and St. Clair had such a huge impact on that book, and it made me not very happy. But in Isla, this is like a completely separate thing. I feel like this book really stands out on its own while Lola didn't. I really liked that previous characters didn't really have a spot in this book until the very, very end. I felt like I got to grow with Isla and Josh and really understand what they were going through. And you didn't really have that effect in the second book. You kind of did in the first one, but it was done so much better in the third one. If anything, I would say continue this series just to get to this book. In the grand scheme of things, you probably could even read this book without reading the first two. The ending might be a bit confusing, but everything else is pretty much self-explained. As I've mentioned before, Stephanie Perkins' writing is incredible. I really love her writing style and how she gets into these characters' minds. And you feel like you know these characters on a more personal level, especially Josh. Josh, as a character, blew my mind, especially since I didn't really like him that much in the first book. Then he completely flipped in my mind, and now I absolutely love his character. And that is all down to writing. As a series as a whole, I really enjoyed the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy. Yeah, there are some things I didn't like about the second book, but I think the first and the third books make up for that. The books are love stories, but it's also about growing up. It has an overwhelming theme of graduating in the unknown of the future, which is really immense in lives of people like me who are in college or just graduated and I don't know how their life is gonna pan out. So I felt like I could relate to these characters, at least in that little way. I just really liked this book. I felt like it was the best in the series and it held its own ground perfectly. As always, I reviewed this book on GOODREADS and I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want a more detailed review. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like if you like and subscribe, and that's it. So I'm gonna go. Bye!
Thanks for watching. Imagine Workshop is awesome. Would you like to subscribe? You've got mail. See you next time.